Hi and welcome to Positively Sparking, podcasts on internet marketing, online business, entrepreneurship and digital living. Today I'm with Neil Henry, Director at Positive Sparks, and we're going to be talking about this month's online trends and how you can take advantage of them via online ads. Hi Neil, how are you?
Good afternoon, Phil. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Is it sunny up north or not?
No, it's miserable, but
Really?
It's been glorious the last few days, and I think we're just getting hit by shower after shower today. One of those dreary northern days.
So a good day to be inside doing a podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
So we've got our new format starting today where we've each chosen a trend that we've been looking at on Google AdWords. And we're going to chat about how we would target the outcome of that trend across different platforms.
Yep.
So Neil, do you want to fire away and tell us about your first trend?
Yep, no problem. I suppose before I go into a couple of related trends that I'm going to talk about, the first thing I want to say is that with any kind of trend data for a Google ad campaign or any kind of online advertising campaign, it's to think about the topical nature of that trending data. So, for example, two that really come to mind, or three that come to mind instantly, would be e-commerce. Everybody can think it's so obvious that anything that's e-commerce related would be trending in November, December for the Christmas period. Anything financial really does kick off trending in the beginning of a year when people are looking ahead to the accounting period, or when people are at New Year's resolutions looking to tighten up their finances. And another one would be the automotive industry, which is particularly volatile at all different times of year. So there we've got three different areas: retail, financial, automotive, that all have completely different trending periods for the data that you would want to go and research as a business or a brand. So I think in all of these instances, the first thing I would say before I go into this is think about your business, the sector you're in, and try and think about the types of, whether it's B2B or B2C, what people are doing at that period in time. So without further ado, the best one to look at for August right now, and they are both related, is children are going back to school and students are going off to university. So instantly, you're going to look at trends that are related to stationery, school and university apparel, uniforms, backpacks, that kind of thing. And then especially and that would be, I suppose, as related to students as it would to children at school, but schools more so. And for students going to university, you're thinking about the cheaper sides of homeware, the types of travel passes that they're going to need to get from A to B, the types of bank accounts that they should have opened or at least be in the process of opening, and then the types of technology that they're going to want to buy, so laptops, tablets, smartphones. And I think in every regard, there's a lot of different keyword searches you can look for and unearth, but the trending nature of August in that area of education opens up a plethora of opportunities for many, many businesses that sell in any of those sectors. And we've talked about homeware, finance, technology, travel, stationery, sporting apparel.
Indeed. Do you know, I'm just thinking back to those days, and what's come to me is the difference in certainly how I felt when I was a kid at school and dreading the first day back at school, having had this great summer off. But then being a student and could not wait to get back to university. It's an amazing difference between those two feelings. One's the greatest feeling of your kind of early 20s, and the other one's the worst feeling of your childhood.
That's interesting, though. I actually loved, I remember as a child, I used to love getting into my fresh, clean, new uniform. And I especially remember loving opening up my new backpack with my new stationery and pencil case and protractor in or whatever it was. I used to love that. Going back to university, I agree with you entirely. Going to university, certainly, the freshest week, there's a trepidation about what you're going to do. But then for the first time, the freedom, the liberation of being in your own place with your own, decision making. Fascinating. It's a fascinating dynamic.
It is. So how would you go about, let's choose one of those markets. Let's choose parents of kids at school. How would you go about targeting that market?
So I suppose as a business, it depends on what you're selling. Certainly searches on Google when it comes to anything that W.H. Smith would sell and this would relate to any business in that kind of ilk. When you're selling, for example, stationery or any kind of magazines, books, you would want to target a campaign specifically now that is targeting the new year for the autumn term. So it's what kind of products will people want to buy for their children so they are kitted out for the new school year, and the related relevance of what year they're in at school for the types of products you're promoting or building an online advertising campaign around to sell. So stationery is a very good example. You would want to get everything ready for someone for a child going back to school, depending on whether let's say they're in year 6, year 7, going off to high school, going off to do A-levels. There are different types of products that those children would need dependent on what level of school grade they're in.
Definitely. Different and more complex protractors.
yeah. And calculators.
Of course. I used to love my calculator.
Oh, yeah. Anybody that's listening to this and is not, for example, selling anything that's stationery related may think, oh, I'll switch off now because it's not relevant. But then as soon as you think about anyone that's selling any kind of clothing, or, as we said, apparel in terms of backpacks and things like that, you definitely need to target the clothing, the brands that children are going to want to use and need for PE, let's say. My son, many years ago when he was in junior school, he would be more than happy using any kind of branded product. It didn't matter. Your black pumps were black pumps. Your T-shirt could be any brand. I don't want to name brands because it's not fair, but certain kind of cheaper brands, let's say, it didn't matter what it was. A white T-shirt was a white T-shirt. Now, going off to university, as he is, he wouldn't dream of wearing something that's not Nike or Adidas. So the branding element becomes different as they go through the years as well. And so in terms of rolling back to how you would target the different types of products that you sell, you've got to think of the audience. It's the thing we always say. Look at the kinds of audience that you're selling to, and in this moment, in August, what kind of products will they be wanting to buy for September, October, November?
That was a great point from a great dad about how brand becomes more important as we get older and we become conscious of how we look.
Yep.
Somehow that disappears again, though, doesn't it, as we get older?
Yeah, well, I suppose we've got more priorities for our finances.
We do. So a couple of ideas on how you would target those demographics. So let's say parents of school kids like yourself. We can target that in Facebook. Facebook, in its demographics section, lets us break down not only parents, but parents of children of a certain age. So if we go back to your point about presenting the right products that specific ages want to buy, that's a fantastic way of doing it. Another way is to look at sites maybe like Mumsnet or NetMums, two huge communities. So there's opportunities there to advertise on the site itself, to create ads which target their Facebook and Twitter followers, and maybe even to target some searches which are Mumsnet or NetMums related that relate to our products as well. On the student side, maybe it's the students themselves, the people that are about to go to university that we need to target. And so in that sense, we're looking at a certain age group, and maybe they would also like the university page for the relevant university they're going to go to. Alongside that, there are so many guides these days to universities, and some of those have quite strong Facebook and Twitter followings. So I was looking at one just before we chatted. It was the Complete University Guide. Facebook page, 25,000 likes. So there we have a lot of possibility of pulling those two exact markets out of the internet to promote our products. Have you got anything you want to add to those, Neil?
Yeah, one specifically would be any kind of Google AdWords campaign. And when you think, for example, about technology that a university student would want, I see quite often how HP, Dell, and especially I would say, the savviest of e-commerce companies, Amazon, how they strip down their technology sections, their categories, by the customer they're trying to target. So here, for example, now, those companies will target student laptops. They will build ad campaigns that are directly related within the ad's title, description, and even in an offer code, percentage off, voucher, that says student laptop, cheapest. Well, it may not be cheapest, it may be the best spec, it may be the best for a certain type of specific student that's needing something for creative purposes, needing some kind of graphics packages, office-based packages, the standard type of build that you would need. But anything that is in an ad campaign for those kind of technology providers, they will need to turn heads in a very competitive space at this time of year on a Google search for someone wanting to buy a student laptop. With that in mind, the top 2 ads of the 4 that you will see at the top of the screen will be heavily promoting the student element, the cheaper spec element, and the best deal around element to get it to your door instantly. So any kind of Google ad campaign looking at the seasonality and the viral nature of what you will find for back to school, going to university types of products, have to really have a call to action that is saying, come to us because our product is either has got some kind of call to action that is discount rated or the best there is. And that's how Google campaigns such as that get the best clicks, conversions.
Great stuff. I think that was a brilliant point about saying this is a student laptop. This is a student laptop for a creative degree.
Yeah.
And going even further.
Yeah, because you're then customizing it to that specific type of audience that you know, as we're talking about on this Trends podcast, it's all about the trending nature of the search, and those are the people directly looking and directly going to give you the best cost per click.
Do you remember looking for NUS discount when you were a student?
I do, yes.
And that was a phrase, wasn't it, that you would look for back in those days. The web was just beginning. It was not quite as it is now, but you would look for that phrase and almost not even look at the price.
Yeah, anything that was NUS discount, you were all over it.
That's it.
and now, for students now with finances, they don't get the leg up that we even got with the student fees that they've got to pay. It's even more important. So that's when I talk about, my son's a good frame of reference for looking at what's the best bank account you can get. And at the minute, various ones are wanting you to open accounts and they're giving you free money. Now, we know that lots of bank accounts are always, in this current climate, looking to give you free money. But again, as I spoke about with the technology side of people wanting to, or ad campaigns targeting a certain student laptop, you also get student bank accounts. And at this time of year, the seasonal trends of student bank accounts is extremely hot. Once you get to September into October, that's going to hit the floor. So it's, again, targeting the right person with the right product through an ad campaign.
Absolutely. All for that money, Neil, that you're going to be giving him.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't I know?
So let's wrap that one up. I think that was a great discussion, great trend to pick there, Neil. The 2 points in the year, the 2 types of young people who are either going back to school or going to university.
Yep.
So I'm going to go for one which is a bit more general. And this one is all about the rising power of video in adverts. So statistically, video ads are growing and are expected to continue growing by 20% per year for the next 3 years. And just to give an idea of how powerful that's becoming for certain types of businesses, 60% of beauty product purchasers said that YouTube helped them make their choices. So 60% of people who are buying beauty products are checking them out first on YouTube or watching a video on what benefits that beauty product is going to bring.
Let me jump in there. I have a very interesting one because what you say, that's fascinating, 60%. I have 3 different age groups. I have a 10-year-old daughter, I have an 18-year-old niece, I have a 28-year-old niece. I also have a 40-odd-year-old wife. All of them will go on YouTube looking at certain types of makeup and the types of ways to, let's say, apply it, or the reviews that people give of it. So, sorry, I've jumped in there, Phil, but I think that's a really good start because there's 4 different people of all different ages, really, looking at YouTube for that reference point to go and make a purchase decision.
I think that was a great interruption. That's the kind of live